of Carolina Data Science Now. I'm your host, Jocelyn Tsai, Project Manager for the Office of Research Strategy at the School of Data Science and Society. Each Carolina Data Science Now seminar looks a bit different based on our speakers and our theme, but our core element is that we are here to highlight the work in data science on Carolina's campus. Today, we are going to be hearing from the Carolina Artificial Intelligence Literacy Group, which is Dan Anderson, Dana Durbin, and Amanda Henley, and their new teaching modules that are ready to be integrated into your spring courses. And 1 second, here we go. A bit of housekeeping. Please note that this event is being recorded for archival, educational, and community building purposes. There is going to be a moderated discussion after the presentation, which will not be recorded. And also, please keep an eye out for an evaluation form emailed to you after the session. We welcome your feedback. Now, without further delay, let's get started. Dan Anderson is the director of the Carolina Digital Humanities, as well as the director of the Digital Innovation Lab at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. He studies digital rhetoric, teaching with technology, and alternative approaches to scholarship. His books on teaching includes Connections, a guide to online writing about literature in the media age, and Beyond Words, reading and writing in a digital age. So Dan, please go ahead and start, and I'll stop my sharing.
Great. Thank you so much, Jocelyn, and welcome everyone. Thanks to Kristen and Isaac as well. Really appreciate you all facilitating this. And thanks to the School of Data Science and Society as well for making sure that humanistic perspectives on data and AI are being put in front of people. And then my colleagues Amanda and Dana from the university libraries, really grateful that we're all able to be here together. I'm going to put into the chat a link to slides for some Google Slides, and those will have some links in them that you can call from if that's helpful. And then I'll share my screen and we can walk through some of these materials. So the first part is the slideshow link is right up there. And then I thought a little bit of a forecast. So we want to talk about what people are expecting in terms of literacy with AI at UNC. We have some modules for students we're going to work through. We want to talk about some resources. And then we're going to have some questions and discussion. So that's where we're heading. And we'd love for this to be really informal. So, you know, feel free to put things in chat. If hand raising is enabled, do that, but don't hesitate to break in. We're not going to stand on ceremony here at all if you have questions or thoughts. And then we want to start with some context. And for that context, I thought I would go back in time about 2,500 years to Socrates. A lot of you probably heard this quote or heard about Socrates' dismay with the invention of writing. And so this is a very early example of the kind of tensions that come up when people introduce technology and combine it with intellectual work. So in this opening quote, you can see that one of the challenges here is that, you know, once things are written down, people are not able to respond. There's a sense that you're going to lose the human immediacy with the invention of writing. So a lot of hand-wringing 2,500 years ago. And a reminder that writing itself is a kind of technology. And then if you jump forward to the 1990s, a couple of these quotes below are from scholars who were studying the introduction of the computer itself, word processors, and how those shifted things. So there were some studies that were suggesting that the typewriter is going to be more effective than word processors because people will just move too quickly with word processors. And those studies even started to talk about how maybe people shouldn't use Macs instead of PCs because at the time the Mac had a mouse and a graphic user interface, and they thought that would make people less intelligent as writers rather than having to type on a command line. So there's a long history of concern about computers and technology undermining intellectual work. And I think that's a good reminder that we should be really critical and not just accept technologies into what we're doing. But on the flip side, people who've studied computers and writing and technology have also discovered a lot of positives. So, back in the 90s, people were also doing local area network-based chat programs, and they discovered very quickly that students who were often really quiet in the back of the room were able to speak up and share their ideas because they were on a computer and were chatting. So the negatives and the positives all kind of go together, and that's a little bit of history or context. We don't want to assume that everyone here is way up to speed on AI, so we've included just some basic links to ChatGPT and Bing, and if you need to, get started, if you don't have any insights as well, then here's a couple of things that you can jump into really quickly and start using some AI. And then we wanted to foreground that access concerns and data concerns are some of the things that people have been talking about in terms of AI going forward. So that's getting started. And then here's some of the expectations for UNC. One, and really great thanks to the committee this summer who put together all of these materials. There's an expectation that your syllabus should at least have an AI policy on campus, but that there's instructor flexibility. Some instructors may be all in on AI, some might not. There's a link to the student guidelines developed by the committee. And then here's a link to sample language that the writing program has developed. And in that language, there's some learning outcomes that are linked with it, and that kind of hints at the way that we're moving, hopefully, toward a heuristic, productive mode of how AI can be integrated into literacy and education. And then at some point, if you're interested, I want to talk about documentation logistics. We're operating on this mode that transparency is best, and students should be able to document their use of AI. So that's something I'd be eager to talk with people about. So those are some of the expectations on campus. And then we now want to talk about the modules that we've built. So with help from the School of Data Science and Society, we constructed these modules and they're ready for use. And we'll walk you through them a little bit. Dana, are you able to unmute? Do you want to speak while I bring up this module about misinformation?
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. If you don't mind just opening the module. Perfect. So my background as a librarian, I'm really interested in how folks are using AI to either combat or potentially to replicate disinformation and misinformation. So as I started using tools like ChatGPT and Claude in the spring, I was noticing, and some of my library colleagues were noticing, hallucinations or citations that don't actually exist. And so sometimes the authors will be real researchers, but the title is fake, or the journal is a real journal, but the issue number is wrong. So I was really interested in students using these tools and potentially running into some of the same problems. So my module deals, the one I created deals with kind of fact checking and also looking at the biases that can be baked into generative AI depending on the data that it was trained on. And so the module walks students through some key terms that are helpful to know and builds on another module that goes into how the tools work. So I wanted students to kind of understand what was happening a little bit behind the scenes as they use these generative AI tools. In addition, I also wanted to highlight the ways that generative AI can help in the research process. So not just kind of a doom and gloom or warning them away from the tools, but also what really great uses they have in terms of brainstorming research questions, brainstorming keywords as they're doing database searching and things like that. So the video walks them through that. And there are a couple of activities that ask them to use a generative AI tool on a topic that they already know a little bit about. and then take a look at the citations, if any, that it generates. Sometimes there are citations, sometimes not so much, and you can kind of prompt the tools to give you some sources and citations, and then use the library's resources to verify, are these actual peer-reviewed articles? Are they, websites from legitimate sources, or are they completely made up, or something in between? So again, the hope for this module is not just to kind of give them some warnings or things to look out for, but also some helpful ways that they could use generative AI in the research and fact-checking process.
Thank you, Dana. The next module that we created was one linked with AI prompting. I'm not sure why it's not showing up there, but we'll get there. And each of these modules has an opening with the outcomes and the key terms, and then it has a reading and a quiz where people participating can get some background information, and then they have a video which has the concept instruction. So the prompting and thinking is pretty straightforward in that it asks students to start initially with basic prompting, and it walks students through that process of what does it mean if you just say, I'm doing a research project on sustainability. You're going to get some pretty vague responses, not that helpful. But the more context you provide and giving roles to AI, those types of things can deliver much richer responses. And then the other aspect of it is treating AI as a kind of iterative tool where you can get some knowledge, build on that knowledge, and go back and forth. So the idea that critical thinking can play out while prompting is what's discussed in this module, and it guides students through that. And one of the things that it picks up on, especially toward the end, is the agency the user of AI has to have in these interactions. So at some point, you're really charged with evaluating responses and then responding to that evaluation and reprompting, and at some point even bringing in your own background knowledge and understanding in order to have success with the module. So that's what this one does, and these videos walk people through all of the instruction as well. And then I'm just going to link directly to our module on plagiarism and documentation. This is one of the topics that I think comes up first. So we definitely wanted to have some instruction on this, talking about academic integrity and where things are going. And it has some readings and then quizzes on the readings that students would pursue. And then again, it has a video that guides students through how to do a lot of this. One of the things that this video takes up is doing summaries, quotations, and paraphrasing, and how you should treat AI output as a kind of source that you would use for writing in any case. So if you get some AI output, would you summarize it? Would you paraphrase it? If you were to paste it into your project, how would you quote it and how would you cite it? And then it guides students through citation styles. Most of the major citation styles now have AI use set up. So that's what this module does, guide you through that material. And then, so those are our three modules. And the strategy for using these modules, let me just go to the idea is that what you would do is just bring them straight into your, some reminders there to attend to. You bring them into your own Canvas website, and then you could tweak them or adjust them a little bit. So if you go to the Commons on Canvas and you search for Carolina AI Literacy, our three modules will show up here. And if we bring up Dana's module, you can kind of see how it works. It has an introduction, it has a quiz, and then it's got a reflection opportunity. At the end, it has a certificate of completion that students could print out. And if you just go to the link on the right after searching for it, then you can import this. You choose the course that you want to bring it into, and it will move directly into your own Canvas website for your course, and you could assign that module in a really straightforward way. So those are available. When you go to the page that we had them on here, all of the text is available because some people may not be using Canvas. And if you're off campus, the Commons modules for the UNC Canvas platform are only available to UNC users. So you can kind of reverse engineer these by using all of the text that is on our website. So those are our modules, and I've used them already, and other instructors have used them and found them to be pretty helpful. And the process of moving them into your own Canvas website is really straightforward if you're on the UNC campus. So those are available, and we're hoping to make more of those as we go forward. So we also made a link to resources. The website that I clicked on for that is where we're delivering these modules, and we also have syllabus language, some documentation templates, and different materials. That's on that Carolina AI Literacy website. The Center for Faculty Excellence has got some great resources up there. The Writing Center has put together a really helpful handout, so that's something that you may want to look at. And then the committee this summer that worked on these has got a page that the provost is hosting with a whole bunch of resources for AI. So those are places you can go. Here are our contacts, and the thing that we want to do for the most part is just speak with you and have a conversation. So I think the modules, if you have questions about them, you can reach out to us, contact us. We're planning to make some more modules and keep expanding, and that's where those are. So I'm going to stop sharing because we want to transition into our just open-ended discussion and question-based segment, and I'll let Amanda lead us with that.
I'm going to pause recording before we start this discussion. So Dana Durbin, we'll bring it back to you. You're the undergraduate teaching and learning librarian. And Amanda Henley, who's joining us now, she's the head of digital research services. So yes, please go ahead.